Well, it's one of the hottest topics in SEC football. 8 or 9 conference games. Mississippi State head coach Jeff Lebby shares his stance, and we're breaking it all down.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at F1 Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got an SEC Media Day show for you today. That includes Brenen Thompson talked about who he's looking forward to play the most, but he also gave some inside details about what to expect from the offense this year. And Jeff Lebby made his opinion clear about Oklahoma looking at Zac Selmon. What did he say? We'll talk about that at the end. But first, we got to talk about what Jeff Lebby has said about the SEC schedule. Obviously, it's been a very hotly debated topic. Do they stay with the 8-game conference schedule? Do they move to the 9-game conference schedule? Sound like early on, everyone was kind of in favor of the 9-game, but as things kind of went, it ended up being more people maybe be in favor of the 8-game. And so it still has not been decided, and there's not a date yet set to finally hash that out, which they're obviously going to have it done before the 2026 season. So a lot of things to happen, but Lebby was asked about it, and he said, for us, from a scheduling standpoint, it is, at the end of the day, to me, it's going to be what's best for the league. I think all of us as coaches have our own opinions, but the conference at the end of the day is going to do exactly what we need to do to strengthen our position. That, to me, is exactly what it's going to look like. So he said a lot of nothing.
Yeah, he did. But there's nothing wrong with saying nothing in this situation because, it's been, it's going to be this. Now it's going to be this. And just keeps going back and forth and kind of going nowhere. And in the end, I think it needs to be a standardized thing across all of the Power 4 or 5, whatever the power number of conference ends up. I think they should all play the same number of conference games, but there would need someone to be over all of college football for that to happen. So I don't really think there's anything wrong with not making your stance known on this with how it's going. You don't want to come out hard on one end and then it go the other way and get like on the bad side of a commissioner for any reason in this situation. So, I mean, it's a lot of nothing, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. I kind of have a weird opinion about it because I was always under the impression of, let's get to the 9-game conference schedule. All the other conferences are doing it outside of the ACC and the SEC. Let's just get to the 9-game conference schedule. And then I saw a deal yesterday that made me go, okay, I understand why the 8-game makes sense for the SEC. But I also have another weird take about it too. But let's start with the 8-game part. It was tweeted out from ESPN's analytics. The top 10 hardest schedules this year are the SEC. It's 10 SEC teams. So that tells you right there that they're not hurting with they're not having that 9th game conference schedule, which that's kind of been the argument against the SEC for staying at 8 is, hey, you're getting to play one extra easier opponent that we're not getting to play because we're in conference play for 9 games and you're not. But it's not hurting them in terms of strength of schedule. My other take on that, though, is the one thing I do agree with is I hate that one of those non-conference games is usually an easy opponent, usually an FCS opponent towards the end of the year. Yeah. I do hate that. So it's like they almost need to regulate, like, okay, fine, you can do 8-game, but it has to all be in the first 5 weeks of the season or something like that, which you wouldn't be able to do. But because I do get the argument that for Big Ten teams, and now, hey, they can schedule it if they want to change it different and have one of their easier games later on if they wanted to. But the point is, I understand they are saying, hey, we are 9 straight games of hard Big Ten matchups, Big 12, 9 straight games of Big 12 matchups where you're playing maybe 6, then you get a kind of an off week with the non-conference easier game, then you're going 3. And so part of the thing that makes it tough to do the 9 is the straight part. Yeah. And so if the SEC said, okay, well, we'll just do all 8 of ours straight, obviously bye weeks will be in there too, but 8 of ours straight, will that work? I think a lot of the conferences wouldn't have an issue with it. I think they have an issue with it because a lot of teams, now not all of them do it, and they don't do it every year. We've seen some teams have it one year, the next year not have it, and it just kind of works out that way. But I think that's their biggest issue with it is a lot of times they are throwing in not only a bye week, but also an FCS opponent towards the end of the season, which is helping them rest, get healthy, all this stuff that the other conferences aren't being able to do.
Yeah, that week with the FCS opponent, I always dislike it because it always seems, from a broader college football perspective, because it always seems to fall in the week where all the other games aren't good too. So it's like it feels like there's nothing to watch from a broader college football perspective that week because it always seems to line up just perfectly. But yeah,
Once the conference schedules start, like you're just ready to watch good football. And again, it's not always good because you could get, and no offense to Purdue, but Purdue was really bad last year too. But you could get Ohio State and Purdue, but still, those two name programs that you're going to be at least somewhat interested in.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. They need to either move that to doing it straight or move to 9 games, I think is a good call. But it's such a weird situation to be in with, again, how everything is changing in college football. You almost don't want to put your foot in the ground somewhere and be like, this is what we're doing, because you don't know what the next set of rules is going to be. The next set of legislation is going to be, how NIL is going to change. You don't how this salary cap is going to affect things. If players are going to start wanting more money or less money, depending on, conference games, travel, something like we don't know where this ends. So, I mean, keeping things fluid right now is probably the smartest play you can make.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not the same. It's not like every year, every SEC team has that at the end of the year. Like last year, Mississippi State obviously had UMass towards the end. This year, they have all of their non-conference games, first 4 games of the year. So it's not like every year. It's not like, okay, every week 14, every single SEC team is going to play an FCS opponent. It's not how it works. But I do get the argument against it as to like, hey, we're in conference for 9 straight weeks, and y'all get to throw in an easier game with a bye, and it's just not as fair. But like you said, until it just is like, hey, every conference has to do this, 8 games, 9 games, whatever. I think honestly, and I debated this for a while because I always was kind of in the mindset of 9 games, but then when Brian Kelly pitched hey, let's do 8 games, and 1 game has to be one of the non-conference games has to be against a Power 4 conference, and the other one has to be against the Big Ten. I like that one even a little better than the 9-game conference slate, because then you get some more out of conference, bigger name matchups. Because like we mentioned that, well, then a lot of teams are going to go schedule Rutgers or Purdue. Well, not all of them can, so they got to find. You're going to get some decent matchups out of it. But I think that would be good, and it could be one of those things, kind of like basketball. They do the conference showdowns every year, but it only lasts for like 3 or 4 years. Then the conferences kind of switch, so it was like Big 12 and SEC, I think, for a while. Then it was Big 12 and maybe ACC. Yeah, and so maybe you do something like that. So like for 4 years, the SEC and Big 10, you have to play each other. Like you have to schedule it. But then after that, it's the SEC and ACC or whatever. I actually like that a little more than doing the 9-game conference schedule personally.
Yeah, I think 8 games and like mandating one of the 4 non-conference go against another Power 4, 5, whatever it's going to be. That would be a great way to go. And heck, adopt the NFL's model of, you finished in first place in the SEC. Well, you're playing first place in the Big 12 this year. Second place plays second place. And that's how, that would take a lot of the scheduling conflicts out. We can't schedule this person because in 8 years we have to do this. No, we're going to do it. And then if you just make it the same across the board for everyone wipes the slate clean and figure it out.
Yeah. No, I think there's some things that need to be ironed out, and that's why it's tough to have this thing voted on before the 2026 season. Now they have to, because they have to figure out what they're going to do. Yeah, they have to have a schedule. So, but I think there's some ideas. So I'm actually glad they tabled it a little bit, and maybe the athletic directors and things like that can start figuring some of that stuff out and figure out what's best, because I think there are some really cool things they can do with it, honestly. And it's not as simple as just 8 or 9 game schedule. Because I think even if you said, hey, we'll keep the 8-game schedule, but we won't play any of the non-conference games after September. And we also will schedule 2 Power 4 conference teams instead of 2, I think right now the SEC has a mandate of you have to have 3 or at least one of them has to be a power 4. The other 3 can be whatever. I think if you said, okay, we'll do 2 and 2, then I think a lot of the other conferences would be on board with you staying at 8. But also on the flip side, who cares what the other conferences think? They're not your conference. And that's the thing about college football. It's different from the other sports. There's not a czar over everything. Like, you get to make your own rules. So who cares what they think?
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of do a little bit of whatever you want. I think there needs to be a little bit more cohesion between the conferences. And with it now going to the college football playoff model, you kind of want everyone doing the same thing to get to the same end game.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jeff Lebby wasn't the only one who spoke at SEC Media Days. Brenen Thompson, who's someone we've been looking forward to hear from, and he didn't disappoint. He had a lot of great quotes. We're going to go through a couple of them, including where he's looking forward to play the most this upcoming season. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I have a lot of friends that have been using FanDuel to track their favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. One of the best things, it's easy to use, fast to pay out, makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. So how many times have you been sitting there, man, there's nothing really on that I really care to watch? Well, throw a bet on it because that'll get you interested to watch it. And also with the same game parlays, I've talked about this many times. That's my favorite part, especially during the NBA playoffs. Once football gets back up, that'll be another one because, you got a really good running back going against a really good run defense. So which way are you going? Are you going with the over on his yards, or are you going to go under on his yards? That's some of the fun stuff that, kind of adds to the excitement about the game. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. If your first bet wins, open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, thank you for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so Brenen Thompson said a lot of interesting things, and again, if you have gone back to look at some of the stuff he said when he was at Oklahoma, you knew that he would hit a home run out there, and he did. But he was asked about the toughest stadium to play in, the SEC. He hasn't actually played in this stadium yet, but he said he's excited to play at Texas A&M. He said every road environment in the SEC is tough, but I'm excited to play at Texas A&M. And if you go back to his kind of recruitment, he chose Texas out of high school, but it was between Texas and Texas A&M. And he has since said, which he actually said on Wednesday, that if he could do it again, he probably would have done it differently and would have went to A&M. And so that kind of adds a little extra luster to wanting to play against A&M this year.
Yeah, these are another set of stories I like when you kind of start hearing about guys talking about, oh, well, I could have gone there and I kind of wish I had, but I'm still happy where I ended up, but I wish I'd done things differently. I was 17 years old, which is still wild to me. We're asking when adults get mad at these kids for flipping their decisions, like they're 17. What kind of dumb decision did you make at 17?
And he was very open about it. He said, I came from a small town. I thought, you know what? I want a big city. I want to go to a big city. So that's why he went to Austin. And then while there, he realized, actually, I do like the smaller town better. And that's what happens. I mean, these are young kids.
Yeah, and it's great. And we've talked about it a lot, how we think the environment at A&M is slightly overrated. But I get it. Players want to play there because it does, like, it has such a mystique that players kind of want to see, is it real?
Yeah.
Like, is it really like this? And usually the player comes out going, no, it's not actually like that at all. Yeah. It's just kind of loud. It's not that crazy.
You want another one of my hot takes?
Oh, let's hear it.
I've given hot takes. Let's see. The last hot take I gave, it blew up on social media because of the Auburn-Alabama rivalry. But I've got another one. I think a lot of teams want to play there because, one, they keep hearing, and a lot of players want to play there. One, because they keep hearing how crazy of an environment it is and stuff. But also, it's not that hard to win there.
Yeah.
So I think they want to play there because, one, they know it's going to be somewhat loud, and they know they got a good chance of winning.
Yeah, and they also know it's real easy to make them shut up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Touchdowns, it's real quiet.
That's what I'm saying. You don't see players saying, like, they want to play at Alabama and Georgia just because of how crazy that environment is, but they know they're going to probably lose.
Mhm.
But you rarely hear players say that. Like, yeah, I can't wait to go play at Alabama, or I can't wait to play at Georgia. Now, they might say, I can't wait to play Alabama or play Georgia,
Right.
but they're not saying, I can't wait to go play at Alabama or at Georgia, because they know that ain't going to go well.
Yeah, they know it's not going to go well. And, usually goes pretty well when you go to College Station.
Yeah. And I know people are going to say, oh, we have a 79% win percentage there at A&M.
Cool.
Like, yeah, if you actually go back since 2000, and I looked at this, I did a piece on this.
If
maybe
you count
last year.
World War II stuff, everyone has a crazy record.
I was about to say, I went back and looked at it since 2000, and A&M of the top, this was for a college football video game story I was working on. A&M was ranked number 1 in the initial toughest places to play.
Yeah.
Then it got changed, and LSU got put number 1. But out of like the top 10 that were ranked in that initial rankings, A&M had the worst record at home of all of them. And it was not a bad record. They won like 78, 80% of their games or something like that since 2000. But it's not as tough as people say it is. And I've been games there, so it's not like I'm talking this about something I don't know. And I'm not saying Mississippi State's going to roll in there and get the win. Landon and I both picked them to lose that game. But
DPT picked us to win. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe they know more than we do. But ultimately, it's not a hard place to play. And that's why I think that adds to the excitement from players.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is a relatively hard place to play, but the difficulty level does not match up to its perception and its
it's harder to play than a lot of some of the other places, but it's kind of like how I thought about how we both think about the Alabama-Auburn rivalry, the Iron Bowl. It's talked about like it's the toughest place or the best rivalry or the second toughest place, and it's not. Is it still top 10 to 15? Absolutely. Sure. Both of them are. But is it the toughest? No. And it really doesn't belong in top 5 talks, period.
Right. I agreed with that. And yeah, I mean, Brenen Thompson, that was just one of his great quotes that got us on another tangent about things that will make someone mad. We haven't made them mad yet. Let's make that famous.
I'm more than happy to make A&M fans mad. Another thing he said that was exciting was they asked him, what can we expect from the offense this year? Obviously with Blake Shapen's injury last year, didn't get the full scope of it. What you know of the offense, what can we expect? Obviously, Brenen Thompson played in the Jeff Lebby offense in 2023 at Oklahoma. We've talked about that. He was simple. He said, we're going to play fast, we're going to be explosive, and we're going to put up a lot of points.
And that's fun. If the defense offense does that, that means this team's going to be fun to watch. Yeah. Regardless of how the record actually shakes out, if you're the team that's putting up points fast, you then put pressure on the other offense to keep up with you. And that can help a middling defense perform better. If that other team knows, hey, we have to score almost every time we have the ball or we're not going to be able to keep up, defense can take a few more chances and it looks better. And that's as long as it's what happens, like we talked about, some of this is just going to be coach speak, even if it comes from players, but hopefully that's what this offense does. And it makes it a fun season.
Yeah, for sure. And Isaac Smith spoke as well. Blake Shapen spoke as well. There's just too much to go into to have both of those conversations here. So actually check out Friday's episode because they made some interesting quotes that we're going to talk about on tomorrow's episode. But yeah, I mean, he said a lot of the stuff that you want to hear, and you can tell why he was asked to come out there, even though it's his first year as a transfer, because you can see the leadership qualities. But all right, Jeff Lebby also made some comments about Zac Selmon and his possible chance at going to Oklahoma. We got to talk about that. That's coming up next. All right, well, thanks for being a Locked On Mississippi State, your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so during SEC Media Days, Jeff Lebby was kind of passing by, and the video was tweeted out by Toby Rowland. He is the play-by-play guy, the voice of the Sooners for Oklahoma, but he's also the local CBS affiliate sports director. He was just named that recently. Obviously, him and Lebby go back to Lebby's coaching days at Oklahoma, and so they were passing by and asked, just the simple, like, how are you doing kind of things. Hope you're doing well, blah, blah, blah. But then Lebby said, get your eyes off Zac. So he definitely made his opinion known about the Sooners possibly going after Zac Selmon.
I mean, and you love to hear that the coach is, that he's aware enough and also has that kind of relationship with people, can be like, no, quit looking at our guy.
Yeah.
That's fun. But he also had a much longer quote kind of just about what Zac Selmon has been doing in his actual media day appearances. Like, he says, most administration staff was in place when I got here, but I think what you see from the top down is connection. You see trust. You see people wanting to do it for each other. When you see that every single day, just like we all know it does, it starts at the very top. There's great alignment, great connection, constantly fighting to continue to build these relationships with our fan base, but also our donor pool, continue to grow that the way we need to be able to go sustain it the way we need to. So, we've talked about the great job Selmon has done, but when he is, making that type of connection and impact on your coaches, that they're giving you glowing reviews in media days, you don't normally hear that. Like, you'll hear basic stuff like, oh yeah, he's doing good. Oh, he's good at this. You don't hear, oh, he's helping us build trust and great relationships from the top down. That's not something you hear often.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that right there should make fans feel really good about having Zac Selmon at the helm, because obviously he's got the backing from the coaches on set. And I know Lebby and Selmon go way back, and Lebby's at Mississippi State because Selmon is there. But you don't want any kind of dysfunction with your coaches, with your upper management, and obviously there's none there, and they know how valuable Selmon is. Go ask Brian O'Connor how valuable Selmon is, because he believed in his vision enough to come to Mississippi State. He doesn't come here if he doesn't believe in that vision. So I think there should be a lot of things to be excited about with Selmon at the helm moving forward, and hopefully he's here a little longer.
Yeah, I feel like we've been just banging the drum for Selmon's doing a great job since about like the second week we started this podcast. And now, like you mentioned, Brian O'Connor coming here, that is proof that he's good at what he's doing. The new facilities, proof. The record fundraising, proof. This quote from Lebby, proof. If anyone out there is still unhappy with the job he's doing because of the record on the field, that just means you don't understand what the athletic director's job is, and you're mad at the wrong people. That's not his fault. You're just not sure. You don't know who to be mad at. You can be mad, but it's not his fault.
And that's not to say that bad hires don't happen. But I will say this is one thing that I always watch when hires are made. Was it just an outside of the box hire that was made? Like that you were like, man, really? He went with that? Okay, let's see how it plays out. And then it doesn't work. Because if that's the case, blame the AD all you want. That's fair. But if it's a guy like Jeff Lebby, for example, again, he had Oklahoma as the number 4 offense in college football in 2023 and was one of the highest, most sought after assistants. When he took the offensive coordinator job at Oklahoma and left Ole Miss, many said he's going to be a head coach within a year or two. They knew he was going to be highly sought after when he was at Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad hire, and especially for Mississippi State to be able to pull that off, because usually those top assistants that are really getting pursued by all these teams, they go to these bigger programs in Mississippi State and programs that were in a better position. We knew how poor the position was that Lebby was going to be put in when he came to Mississippi State. And so usually they go to those better, bigger programs, better at football on the field, obviously, is what I'm referring to. And he was able to get him. And then obviously Brian O'Connor is one of the best in the sport, and you got him to come. And so if those don't work, it's not a Zac Selmon issue, because those were the right hires to make, both of them.
Yeah, and then you even have and they're not even the same type of hire, because Lebby's the hot shot, supposed to be good guy, and then Brian O'Connor's the guy who is good at his job. And if it doesn't work out, it's for whatever reason. But you see this in every sport, you make the right hire, and for whatever reason, it ends up being the wrong hire. Yeah. And, when that happens, I think you got to give that guy another chance. Yeah. If you make the right hire and it doesn't work, that just means something went wrong in after that guy got here. You didn't mess up your process. So it's when you do something weird and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you do something weird and it works, you're a genius.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, then that's when the criticism flow. But all right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most important fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over in Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. Also, hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell on YouTube. We are so close to our 1,000 subscriber goal. We are officially over the 600 mark, so we're getting there day by day. And of course, like I said, we want to get that by early college football season. So help us out there. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.